welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. We have Octavia Wyatt here, Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr. This is season 8, episode 3. As you guys have seen on the itinerary behind us, got quite a bit to get through. Going to start with the NFC East Week 12 recap. We're steadily moving through this NFL season at a nice steady pace. A whole lot of stuff going on in y'all's division. So we will start there, Octavia.
Yeah, I feel like I say this a lot. I'm going to say it again. Games within the division are always freaking crazy, but I don't think any of us expected the crazy game that we had from two of the division rivals this week. I first off want to say thank you to both teams for giving us this content because, as I think I said either last week or a couple of weeks ago, I bought my dad and my brother, who are lifelong Dallas Cowboy fans, tickets. It was their very first game that they went to ever. And I was very sad because I thought it was going to be a blowout. I was like, they're without Dak. CD's hurt. Jake Ferguson was out. I think Tyron Smith was out. All of Trevon Diggs was out. All of these injuries. And I was so sad that my dad and my brother would have a terrible time. But thank you to the football guys for whatever that was that happened in Northwest Stadium on Sunday, because that was ridiculous. I don't know what the hell was happening. The score was 10-9 going into the fourth quarter, and the game ended with the Dallas Cowboys being victorious and defeating the Washington Commanders 34-26. Now, like I said, it was 10-9 going into the fourth quarter, and the game ended 34-26. It was literally ridiculous. Jaden Daniels was 25 of 38, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 4 sacks, 7 carries for 74 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Jeremy McNichols had 3 carries for 22 yards. Terry McLaurin had 5 carries for 102 yards. 5 receptions for 102 yards and 1 touchdown. And Zach Ertz had 6 receptions, 38 yards, and 1 touchdown. On the other side, for the Dallas Cowboys, Cooper Rush was 24 of 32, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack, 4 carries for 1 yard. Rico Dowdle had 19 carries, 86 yards, 3 receptions for 12 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 10 receptions, 67 yards, 1 carry for 1 yard. Luke Schoonmaker had 3 receptions and 55 yards and 1 touchdown. Jalen Tolbert had 2 receptions, 22 yards, and 1 touchdown. And I just got to give the kick returners a little bit of credit this game. Kayvon Turpin had a 99-yard kickoff return. And I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name because I've never heard of you. Sorry. Janiyah Thomas, 43-yard onside kick return where you probably should have got down, but I understand you got to get it when you can. You don't know when you're ever going to get the opportunity again, but here we are. That was literally one of the craziest games I think I've ever watched live. Most of the time on Sundays, I'm trying to watch these games while also going back and forth between NFL Red Zone, trying to see what else is happening. And it was hard to watch this game in the beginning, to be fair. Like I said, it was 3-3 at halftime or 6-3 or something like that. It was just bad. On the Washington Commanders side, I don't know what's happened to their offense. A lot of people are starting to say, it looks eerie similar to when Cliff Kingsbury was in Arizona. And everybody started to catch on what he was doing with Kyler Murray. I'm hoping that's not the case for Washington Commanders fans' sake. But it is getting a little concerning. I know there have been talks about if Jaden is still injured with the ribs or anything, but his accuracy has been a little bit off in the last couple of games. It just has looked different. For their offense, especially going against a Dallas team who entered the game ranked 29th in scoring defense and 23rd in yards. Washington only managed 319 yards, surpassing 300 yards for the first time in 3 games. They're now currently on a 3-game losing streak. The offensive line is banged up for them. In the past 3 games, their running backs have averaged 3.2 yards per carry and only gained 181 yards combined. Jaden Daniels was the leading rusher in this game. Brian Robinson Jr. did get injured during the game. He came out. I think he did come back in as well. And I mean, prayers up for Austin Eckler because he got popped at the end of the game. And as soon as he went down, I knew he was out. So unfortunate for them, there's a chance that he won't even play this upcoming week as well because he's in concussion protocol. But yeah, it hasn't really been that good. Their passing game hasn't really had any rhythm to it. Jaden Daniels is only averaging 3.9 yards per attempt until he throws the ball. It looks like downfield. I mean, majority of Terry McLaurin's receiving yards for this week came in one pass at the end in the fourth quarter, where again another crazy thing happened where Dallas just couldn't seem to tackle at that point. I don't know. I guess the running joke right now is Dallas doesn't know how to properly tank. They don't know if they want to win, they want to lose, they don't know what they want to do. But I mean, you got to give them credit for still playing as as banged up as they are, as much as they're being talked about, and as much as they're going through. They're still going out there and playing hard. Their defense is really starting to come back on, of course, because they're getting a lot of their players back from injuries. Like we never thought that Dallas defense wasn't good. They just had a lot of injuries. And even with that, with Trayvon Diggs being out as well, he's a big piece of their defense as well. So it was a very good sign for them to play that well against a supposedly good Commanders team. I think I said a couple weeks ago too that we needed to wait until they actually played some teams that were kind of good a little bit. And here we are on a 3-game losing streak. I'm just saying, life comes at you fast as a commander in this situation. But the one thing that happens to them every year, outside of their offensive line, because their offensive line is also a little bit banged up as well, they can't find a kicker to save their life. I don't know what it is about kickers when they come into the DMV, they forget how to kick at the most inopportune times. Their kicker, Austin Seibert, missed 2 extra points, one that would have tied the game after the miracle 79, 80-yard touchdown that Jaden Daniels threw to Terry McLaurin at the end of the game to potentially tie it. He missed a 51-yarder as well, and then he also missed an extra point earlier in the game. They just can't get right. And to add insult to injury, Austin Seibert has also been added to the injury report, to the injured reserve. So he'll be out the next 4 games, and they're going to have to try another kicker coming up. It looks like they have Zane Gonzalez on their practice squad, who will, I would assume, get elevated to play this Sunday. And we'll be back to playing Russian roulette with kickers for them. It's just bad. It was a trap game, if you want to call it that. I always felt like, and I say it every week, guys, when this game is within the division, it's always something crazy. You never know what's going to happen when you have these teams play against each other so often, especially with the fact that you have Dan Quinn, who used to be the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys last year, as the head coach this year. There's a lot of pride on both sides of, trying to go out there and win for their coach. I saw a funny headline that Dan Quinn surprisingly saves Mike McCarthy's job again, even though he's not even in the he's not even on the team anymore. He saved his job a couple years ago when he hired him as a defensive coordinator, and they went on to a 12-5 season. And did he save it again? Because your man, Jerry Jones is talking about it's not out of the question that this man could get a contract extension, even though he's in the final year of his contract currently. Yeah, I mean, just it was a bad look for the Commanders. They also lost a turnover battle. Again, like I said, their special teams just had a horrible day. This was a sequence of the special teams. They started off okay. They had a blocked field goal. They had a blocked punt. Then they missed the field goal. Then they missed 2 extra points, including one that would have tied the game with 20 seconds left. They allowed Kayvon Turpin to return a 99-yard touchdown. And I mean, it was so reminiscent of Deshaun Jackson against, I think it might have been the Cowboys. I can't remember right now off the top of my head, when he muffed a kickoff in a game as well. The Miracle at the Meadowlands. So it was against the Giants, excuse me. And then he ran it back to win the game as well. So it was a bad day for them. They're going into a game coming up this Sunday against the Titans that you would assume would be a layup, but the Titans are playing pretty decent right now. The Titans, although we know the Texans are struggling with CJ Stroud. I have him on one of my fantasy teams as my quarterback. He's been benched the last 3 weeks for Sam Darnold, so that should tell you a lot. They're going to play against the Titans this Sunday. And again, at this point is any given Sunday, you never know. But like I said, the Cowboys played very well, especially in the absence of Jake Ferguson. Luke Schoonmaker stepped up. It seemed like CeeDee Lamb had more help as far as in the position personnel. We know that Brandon Cooks is out. And then Jake Ferguson being out as well. So Luke Schoonmaker, 3 receptions, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. Jalen Tolbert, 2 receptions, 22 yards, 1 touchdown. Kayvon Turpin with a 99-yard return. I think he also had a reception in this game as well. Rico Dowdle, who, I mean, I don't even know why Ezekiel Elliott even gets in the game anymore at this point. I mean, I guess to give him a spell every now and then. But they seem to have at least pieced together a little bit, especially with a game when they came into where more than $100 million in their salary cap was placed on injury reserve with Dak Prescott, DeMarcus Lawrence, Zach Martin, Trayvon Diggs, Brandon Cooks. Their best offensive lineman, Charlie Smith, was also out in this game. And again, just as bad as it was for the Commanders in the beginning of the game, it was also the same for the Dallas Cowboys as well. They overcame 2 missed field goals, a deflected punt, penalties to basically come back and win the game. This was the type of game that they're used to seeing from Cooper Rush in the backup capacity. Cooper Rush completed a season high of 78.5% of his passes. His previous best as a starter was 67.7 in the 2022 win against the Giants. So it was definitely a step up for him in the situation. He threw 2 touchdown passes in the second half. And, he looked like a competent backup that they needed, especially against a division rival. But yeah, they played well. You saw with Michael Parsons, Deron Bland getting healthy, their defensive unit is showing what we expected them to be on the defensive side, of course. Yeah, I mean, their special teams definitely, I would say, bailed them out. Their defense held them down for a majority of the game as well. They are going to have a very, very short week this week. They play Thursday on Thanksgiving against the New York Giants. I don't think anybody thought that this was the game that we were going to get on Thanksgiving, but here we are. I think they said the Cowboys are like a 3-point favorite going into this game. So they'll play Thursday at 4:30. And again, division games are crazy. I will just say that. Now we know how bad the Giants have looked. If you don't know, we're gonna get to it. I'm gonna try not to stay on it too long because it makes my stomach hurt. The New York Giants played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they got throttled 30-7. And I feel like I can't really talk trash because we always get beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. So I can't talk too much trash. But Tommy DeVito was 21-31, 189 yards, no touchdowns, no interception. He was sacked 4 times. He had 7 carries for 32 yards. Tyrone Tracy Jr. had 9 carries for 42 yards, no touchdowns, 4 receptions for 28 yards, and I believe he had 1 fumble. Devin Singletary had 2 carries for 3 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 receptions for 7 yards, and Malik Neighbors 6 receptions for 64 yards. If you haven't heard it by now, Malik Neighbors said that the New York Giants are soft AF. It's been a week. If you're a Giant, if you're a part of the Giant franchise, or if you're a Giant fan, Daniel Jones was officially benched before this game happened. He was demoted to 3rd string quarterback behind Tommy DeVito as well as Drew Lock. And I think they even said that he did some scout team safety work for them in practicing on a Thursday, which is crazy. But after that, he went to John Mara and asked to be released that Friday, and he has officially been released from the New York Giants. He is no longer a New York Giant. He has officially cleared waivers, and there are reports that he likely will make a decision on the team he wants to go to tomorrow. It is said that he is looking to go to a contender, not a team where he can just step right in and be the starter. Seems like he's trying to figure out how to get a ring, and I can't be mad at it as long as he's been in the league. Gotta do what you gotta do. He's probably going to be a backup anyway. Although there probably are some teams that would probably take a gamble on him because there are some teams who are very, very void in the quarterback situation. But even with losing or moving on from Daniel Jones, we know that Tommy DeVito is not the answer. Not happening. And it's hard for anybody to really be the answer when your offensive line is just as bad as it is. He was running for his life all week. I mean, he played in one game this year and he's already designated with an injury, and they don't know if he's going to play Thursday because he has a forearm injury. So we don't know if it'll be Tommy DeVito this Thursday or if it will be Drew Lock. It's just bad. The defense, they're not really they're not playing that well either. And it's kind of, you wonder what the locker room looks like when you have, Daniel Jones. He hasn't been playing that well, but you would assume that they all feel like he was the best quarterback option that they have. And to move on from him, there's been a lot of turmoil about if they should have done it this early. We know that there is the clause in his contract regarding to if he got injured, he would get the full 22 or 23 million that's left on his contract. Some people may think that they gave up early, but at this point, he's got enough money. We know the Giants aren't going anywhere, and I understand it's different when you're playing and you're like, y'all care about if he gets hurt. Y'all don't care if I get hurt because I'm out here playing with these trash people too. I get that when you're a player, but players play, owners, businessmen, they're looking at their bottom line. So I understand both sides of it. The Giants came into this game last in points per game at 15.6 and scored just 7 points, which all came in the fourth quarter, down 30-0. It was the fourth time this season they scored 7 or fewer points this game. The Bucs ran up 450 yards of offense, gaining an average of 7.3 yards per play. Baker Mayfield threw for 294 yards, and the Bucs rushed for 156. The Giants have yet to allow a 300-yard passer this season, but they were very close in this situation. At this point, it's just bad all the way around. I'm sure they're all looking forward to 1-2-3 Cancun and just getting this over with. But it sucks. They still have 5 or 6 more weeks, I believe. It's going to be it's not going to be fun for them. They, as a team, rushed. Their total offense was 245 yards, I believe, which leads me to our next team. The Philadelphia Eagles played against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday night. Again, y'all know how much I hate primetime, but this time, primetime didn't go that bad. I digress. The Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Los Angeles Rams 37-20. Jalen Hurts was 15 of 22, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 1 sack, 12 carries for 39 yards. My man, Saquon Barkley. So you heard me say the Giants just had 245 yards of total offense. Saquon Barkley had 26 carries, 255 yards, which was more than the entire Giants organization had in their game. 26 carries, 255 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 4 receptions for 47 yards. Kenneth Gainwell got in some action, 5 carries for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 receptions, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley is amazing. I feel like we all knew that. I feel like I always knew that every year we played against the Giants because he was the one that would always torture us. Just him. It was only him. And to see what he's able to do behind a competent offensive line is amazing. And I say that as a fan of the team, of course, but I say that as a fan of football completely. Even if you don't like the Philadelphia Eagles or whatever the situation is, you can't deny the fact that it's pretty to see that type of player actually be behind an offensive line that can help him show himself off. It's amazing. He set a personal high with 302 yards from scrimmage and broke the franchise record for single game rushing yards at the 255, which included a pair of 70+ yard rushing touchdowns. He has 3 games with 195+ scrimmage yards this season, the same amount as the rest of the NFL combined. Barkley is the third player in NFL history to have 1,500 scrimmage yards and 10 touchdowns in his first season with multiple teams, joining Hall of Famers Marshall Faulk and Eric Dickerson. If he keeps up this production, he could become the first back since Adrian Peterson to secure the MVP. He's on track to break Eric Dickerson's record of 2153, I believe it is. And I think they're wholeheartedly going to go after it. We know, I mean, just seeing what it is, I don't know why I would do anything else but give Saquon Barkley the ball at this point. Like, I don't understand what other option there could ever be in this situation. He's leading the league in rushing yards at 1,392 and yards gained from the line of scrimmage at 1,649. He headlined a running game where they picked up 314 yards in this game. He was 41 yards shy of Adrian Peterson's record of 296 yards in a game. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Devontae Smith didn't play in this game. Didn't seem to matter. A.J. Brown still went off. He had 5 receptions, 109 yards, and a touchdown. The defense is playing lights out. The Eagles yielded 117 yards in the first 2 drives of the game. But after that, they held the Rams to -6 yards for the rest of that half. Matthew Stafford was under complete duress for the rest of the night. He was sacked 5 times, 11 quarterback hits on him. Jalen Carter looked like Aaron Donald out there getting double teamed. It was crazy. Granted, it's going to continue to happen for him. He got double teamed so much during this game, and it's a testament to him and the type of player that he is on his way to just being dominant. Last but not least, on a bitter note, Brandon Graham is out for the season with a torn tricep. Everybody keeps saying if you haven't seen the video of him breaking down in regards to it, I can't bring myself to watch it. Knowing that this was his last season, he had already announced that he would be retiring at the end of this year, and for him to go out like this with a torn tricep and be out for the rest of the season is heartbreaking as a fan. I'm hoping that they go out big for him. I know it's going to be a tough situation because them Detroit Lions not playing. You know, they waxing everybody they play real easy, so it's going to be a tough feat for them. The Philadelphia Eagles have a big test this week coming up as well. They'll play against the Ravens on Sunday. I've been going back and forth like, do I want to drive up to Baltimore to go to this game? But I think I need to be alone to watch this one because I take that back. So my best friend, she like changes her mind every year what team she likes because she don't really like football. She just listens to it because I make her. I think like 2 years ago she was a Commanders fan, and like last year she decided she was a Ravens fan. So I think we might watch the games together, but if she talks too much, she's gonna have to go. But we'll see. It's gonna be it's probably gonna be the best game of the week. On Sunday with those two teams. So the NFC East is NFC East then at this point.
Yeah, they are. They're not the only division of football. They got a lot going on.
But, yeah, yours does too.
I'm not even talking about them. That is a whole division of mid. There's nothing to talk about.
I mean, but at the same time, y'all all in the same place.
No. At least they're all mid together. Like, there's nothing to celebrate about the NFC West. Sometimes people have to be objective. The years when it's tough, I'll be happy to say it. It is a collection of mid from top to bottom. There's nothing positive. All different types of mid. That's what the NFC mid. That's the West. Whoever comes out there to represent in the playoffs, they might as well. NFC Midwest, NFC West is mid. However you want to name it, trash. Just the whole thing. All 14 for varying different reasons. Ray, want to ask you about the Wizards and what they've been doing before we have a more in-depth discussion, once we speak with Cordell a little later.
What they have not been doing is winning. Their losing streak keeps piling up. They're into the double digits now. They dropped 11 in a row. They just haven't been able to put it together. They lost to the Pacers and the Celtics since we last spoke. they were able to have a decent outing against the Celtics on Friday. It was, a respectable effort. They still came up short. Um, given it was against the defending champs, you gotta respect they came out and fought and competed. Just a few mishaps down the stretch that kind of cost them the game. And you're playing a team like Boston, who was they're already obviously more talented given their success. And they just got more experience and they've been there. They were able to close the game. Uh, you know, the, um, the Wizards, they were able to put up, a decent defensive effort. They limited Boston's 3-point attack, which is one of their main weapons. But down the stretch, it was just too much Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, on top of some miscues from Washington. It's just some bad possessions and poor shot selection, which plagues them pretty much on some stretch in every game. Against the Pacers, they were without Jordan Poole, who's pretty much been their most consistent player this season. So they had to go without him. Yeah, man, same thing. Just at times offensively got a little stagnant. Defensively as well, guys were just getting in the paint and creating from there. The one thing about the Wizards, man, they foul a lot. They put teams on the line, routinely, and it's come back to bite them in a lot of games. But yeah, they got to figure it out, man. Where's a couple bright spots? Alex Sar's probably had his best game as a pro against the Pacers. He had 17 and 14. The 14 rebounds was a career high. So he continues to progress and just is kind of finding his way. But overall, they just need to get back to basics. We consistently talk about their start to the year for those first 4 or 5 games where they were really out there. It looked like they were very cohesive on the defensive end. They need to get back to that because that's really the key to their success. Whenever they defend, for however long those stretches may be, that's when they're taking control of games and that's when they're having success. Once things fall apart defensively for them, everything else goes with it. They got to get stops and they got to get out and run to have a chance, because if they got to set up in a half court every single time, it's going to get rocky for them. Having Malcolm Brogdon back helps that a little bit because he's just a bona fide point guard and he can steady the ship. But for the most part, they in the half court, their offense is just very stagnant. And 9 times out of 10, they end up just hoisting a bad 3, which we've been harping about for years on end with this team. They'll shoot a ill-advised 3, and they already have issues rebounding. Other team gets the ball, gets out, and it's off to the races. They got to get better and more efficient on offense because that gives them a chance to set up on defense. But yeah, man, they're in a world of hurt. They're down 17 right now to Chicago. We'll when that game concludes, we'll have an in-depth analysis of what went on there. But yeah, they got to find a way to get back on the winning side at some point because these losses continue to mount. They're going to look up. It's going to be around Christmas time, and they'll already be thinking about punting on the season, depending on how this next month and a half goes. So yeah, man, they got to figure it out.
Yeah, and we'll be checking in with Cardell, in a few. As you said, rough night tonight. Some of the same things we've been talking about for a while have occurred. So looking forward to seeing what you and him have to say about tonight's outing. The Washington Wizards slide continues. It's 12 straight loss. The Bulls win 127-108. Cardell, where do you want to start at with this one?
They lost in the second quarter. They rub after the first quarter, obviously. Second quarter, they came out super flat, and the Bulls just jumped on them. Outscored them 16-8 in the paint. And the alarming thing is the reserves for the Bulls did the damage. Outscored the Wizards reserve 16-2, and most of it we all know now is Kobe White. He came. I mean, look, most of the damage was done by Kobe Bryant scoring 10 points, but it's the reserves that killed him. You know what I mean? And that's what's disheartening. Like, you came out great in the first quarter. All right, cool. You had the energy. See if you could sustain it. And then the second quarter, it was just like the energy just, I don't know what happened after the first quarter. It was just like the energy just, it just totally, it just disappeared, man. And they had no answers. Not only could they not stop them, they couldn't even score. The Bulls shot 61% from the field, man, in that quarter. 57 from deep. And if it wasn't Kobe White, it was the former Terp, Mount St. Joe's standout, Jalen Smith that was killing them inside. 8 points and 5 rebounds in that quarter for Jalen Smith off the bench, right? Just by himself, man. You know what I mean? Matas Bazelis cutting back door, dunking on them all day. The defense. It was just like, yo, it was like, what's going on? And honestly, the Wizards never recovered. I mean, they played better in the second half, but that second quarter was so damaging. They never recovered from that. I mean, we've been saying this for the last few years. Whenever the Wizards give up 40 points in the quarter, we already know how that night's gonna go. Because they don't have the firepower, they don't have the talent. No disrespect, they don't have the talent and know-how to overcome a bad quarter like that to make it a game. So once you see 40 pop up, it's usually a wrap. Even if they're close through the first 3 quarters, if the fourth quarter they give up 40, that means they got their ass whooped. That's how it usually ends, man. So you just can't allow that defensively. And then on top of that, you can't score. 36% from the field, 2 of 10 from deep. That is ball game. And then they was playing from behind for the rest of the game, uphill battle, and they really couldn't get anything to go. On the bright side for the Wizards, man, this is Alex Sarr's best game by far. It's not even close. 20 points, 7 rebounds. I don't mind him shooting the threes tonight because he was hitting 4 out of 5. All right, cool. You hit them, take them. You know what I mean? But for the most part, he's mixing it up inside, just taking what the defense gave him. You know, and guys were finding him, and he was scoring within the flow. He's looking like more and more. He's starting to get more comfortable. He also had 3 assists. I love it when he pushes the ball. It's another element. It's an advantage Wizards. All he got to do is make the right read, and then they got to make the shot. And there you go. Kuzma had 23, but it was an inefficient 23. 38%, 1 for 6 from deep. You know how they go. Malcolm Brogdon was solid, 15.6 rebounds, 4 assists. I thought Bub had some good moments, 10 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. But honestly, outside of them, no one else played well. Koulibaly was 3 for 11. You can't afford to have that. Keyshawn George was 3 for 11, but he's a rookie still learning. Corey Kispert was very cold, 3 for 11. He had a lot of open looks, and they just weren't dropping. He was 1 for 8 for 3. It was a stretch where the Wizards in the third quarter were down like 14, and Kispert missed a 3, and he just went down the court. It looked like he's about to rip his jersey in half, and he was just having one of those nights. And I couldn't help but think if he hit his normal shots, it would have been a different ball game in the third, but he didn't. And that's how the game goes sometimes, man. But defensively, man, they got to figure something out. It's just too easy for teams. They have spurts where they're neck and neck with teams, but it's 1 quarter or 2 quarters where it's like, all right, that's why y'all the Wizards, and that's why we're gonna come in here and get this dub. Or if you and on the road, business as usual, let's protect home court. They gotta figure something out. Simple as that.
Right.
Yeah, man. Definitely kudos to Alex Sarr. He, came out played well against the Pacers the other day. Then his effort tonight, he's definitely trending in the right direction. As Cardell said, it just looks like he's getting more comfortable and getting more used to the NBA game. But yeah, man, just thing that's always going to stand out to me with them, 37 threes is way too much, especially when you only made 10 of them. Like, do something else. It's not working. You're not going to shoot yourself back into it. Make it easy. See the ball go in, and just try to put some points up. Yeah, in that second quarter, they were just letting it fly from 3 with a very low success rate. That's not going to get it done, man. Yeah, they got to figure out what they're going to do on defense, because teams get in the paint way too easy, and once that happens, everything else is compromised. Guys getting backdoor layups and dunks. It's just, if they're going to defend this way, they have no chance. Everything is going to start in with them on the defensive end. We said that's in training camp, and the games when they've defended well, they've had a chance and they look like a professional basketball team. If they don't defend, nothing else is going to go right, because teams are just going to score at will, and then with their shot selection, they're just allowing the other team to get out on breaks. So yeah, they if it's one thing they need to take back, is they need to get stops and just build off that, man, because they, like Cardell pointed out, man, they're just not good enough to fly by the seat of their pants and just try to outscore teams. It's not going to happen. You play that way, you're going to be winning 15 games again. So yeah, they was preaching defense to start the season. Started off well on that end, but it's gone completely off the tracks. And I wonder if, with the youth of this team, if it's just starting to weigh on them real early, especially with this big loser streak. And they just got to find their way again on the defensive end. Nothing else they do matters until they get solid there again.
Moving on to the college segment. Brief update: Maryland women's basketball. They had a game this weekend. It's the part of the year where it's non-conference and whatnot. So I'm trying to get through this in the most respectful way possible. The Terps took on St. Francis out of Pennsylvania. St. Francis scored the opening basket, and then Maryland blitzed them with a 32-1 run. Kayleen Smichael scored 15 of her 25 points in the opening quarter. By the half, Maryland was up 66-9. The 9 points were the fewest allowed in a half since 2014, when they surrendered just 7 in a game against Wagner. Ellie Kubek added 20 points and 5 rebounds. Cheyenne Sellers narrowly missed a double-double, finishing with 11 points and 11 points and 9 assists. Christina Dulce, 9 points and 11 rebounds. Mary McLean did get a double-double. She had 10 points and 10 rebounds. And then Bree McDaniel also added 10 points on the afternoon. Again, we're not going to spend too much time here to be very respectful to St. Francis, PA. And simply the Terps, they moved to 6-0 on the year with this win. They won this one 107-35. Maryland's margin of victory, 72 points. That was their largest margin of victory since 2019, when they beat Georgia State by 73. The Terps moved up to 11 in the AP press poll. Shai Sellers hit the 500 career rebound mark. Christina Dolce hit the 700 career rebound mark. Up next, the Terps will be playing George Mason in Annapolis this weekend. As you know, the college season at the beginning of the year, during that non-conference portion, is filled with a lot of tournaments and things of that nature. So we'll check back in next week to let you guys know how Maryland did, how they fare in this. Give me a second. I want to make sure I get the correct title of this event. I don't want to say full out tournament, because that may not be right. All right. I will try to get that for you guys later, because now my email is not. Oh, there we go. Got it. It is the Navy Classic. Again, taking on George Mason this weekend. They play at 3:30 Eastern. If you guys have ESPN Plus, you'll be able to tune in. If not, I'll check back in next week, and I'll let you guys know how things went. Take it or leave it. You guys already know what it is. So many very interesting topics. Because sports does not rest. These people are all crazy across sports. We'll start here, though. Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, man. NBA Cup's happening right now. If you guys weren't aware, it's the thing that the Lakers were celebrating unapologetically in its first year. I'm sorry, I know that's petty, but Got to raise banners for everything, apparently. Trae Young was held out of an NBA Cup game. The Hawks were fined $100K. The Hawks listed Young on their injury report that night as out because of tendonitis in his right Achilles. Atlanta wound up winning the game anyway, 117 to 116. The issue, the NBA said, was that the Hawks were in violation of the league's player participation policy, which focused primarily on what the league defines as star players, a group that Young would qualify for since he was an all-star selection last season by league rule, quote, unless a team demonstrates an approved reason for a star player not to participate in a game, end quote, it must have the star players for all national television and NBA in-season tournament games. Following an investigation, including review by an independent physician, the NBA determined that the Hawks held Young out of a game that he could have played in under the medical standard in the policy, the league said. The organization's conduct violated the policy, which is intended to promote participation in the NBA's regular season. Take it or leave it that this was actually an injury situation for the Hawks, or did they really just become the first team to get caught under this new star player thing? Like, this is not the thing you want to be first in, but Octavia, we'll start with you. Take it or leave it, whatever you want to call this situation.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it that they're the first team that got caught, and hopefully they're not the last, because it's annoying. Like, y'all keep trying to put out this product for us to watch these games. I get excited to watch games. I have friends that were like, I don't even watch the NBA until playoffs come, and I'm like, come on, man, like watch the games. Like, I want to be involved, and it's like, and then here we go, Mighty Mouse always talking about people and who should play and who not, and now you sitting out. And I think it was a game against the Celtics. I can't remember if it was. They actually won the game, which was crazy. But yeah, to me, it's sad that the league has to do this. That's the sad part about it. But good for them, because y'all get paid eons of money and all of this goddamn money all the time, and you just decide one day I'll wake up, oh, I don't really feel like playing today. Like, I wish I could wake up and be like, oh, I don't really feel like going to work today, but I gotta go. Like, so if I was getting paid not even a fourth, a tenth of what they got paid, I'd be up bright and early every day, ready to go. So that's what they get. Now, the only thing about it is $100K. It's a drop in the hat. They're not gonna miss it, but I appreciate them starting to hold them accountable, because it's ridiculous at this point. Just playing the goddamn games. Like, I had all summer off. It's not like you played in the Olympics, Trey. Hey, come on, bro. So I'm taking it that they're the first team that got, but they will not be the last one.
Ray, your thoughts on this? Doubling on some of your earlier comments today, which we will not share on air, but it was regarding today's very interesting way of load management.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it, man. They tried to be slick, and it got caught up. I don't know if they thought by putting a buzzword like Achilles on there, they was gonna be able to skate through. But nah, man, like, come on, bro. And like Octavia said, why do we have to go through all this just to make sure people play in games? Like, that's a bare necessity of your job to play basketball, and you're trying to skate around that. And then against the Celtics, you're supposed to want that. I see if you, all right, man, we playing against the worst team in the league. He played against all 3 games against the Wizards so far. That's a game you sit out if you need to rest your sore Achilles. But you don't, like, if I'm a pro, I want some of the champions. Like, that's a game I want to play in, even if I am hurt, but whatever, man. But yeah, and again, the $100K, that's just cosmetic. Like, nobody's gonna feel that. But I guess it's the thought that counts. E for effort. But yeah, these guys gotta look in the mirror. But also, to Octavia's point, when you're making $200 million and you get to make your own schedule, what's the incentive not to do it? So hey man, something's got to give here. The league generates a lot of money, and I have no problem with players getting a piece of that. But yeah, you also have to, I don't know, earn it. You don't just get the money by simply existing. There's something else that comes with that. So I think that's the part that people don't take into account. You sign that contract, there's some responsibilities that come with it. And just like any other profession, if you don't live up to your responsibilities, then you shouldn't get the reward. But this is where we are. I don't know what it's going to take for things to get back to some semblance of normalcy, but it's ridiculous that this even is a thing.
Like what's it called over the past few years? Sometimes like within like the Marvel movie community, whatever. Some people like Thanos was right or Ultron was right or whatever. It's one of those things where sometimes it has me going like, I hate the NFL and the way they go about their business with their players. But when the NBA dudes get the trip, and there's a lot of times where I'm just like, you see, and you shouldn't make me understand that vantage point. I feel bad that I do. Like, you got me out here like, Jerry, I mean, they got points because this is outlandish. People were playing 3 times as much without any of this stuff to make their lives easier. For years, I don't even have bad travel, man. People was flying. You know how such job would be to fly with regular people every day and still go play your game? Y'all are special. That's all I got. Y'all are very special people. I got one here. I'm gonna play this. Then I'll ask you guys afterwards. But gotta love this.
Something that just transpired and they brought to my attention today that Travis is a finalist for the Walter Camp Player of the Year, Maxwell Player of the Year, Bednarik Defense Player of the Year, Blitnikoff Best Receiver, regardless of position, and was snubbed by the Thorpe. How is Travis Hunter snubbed by the Jim Thorpe Award? You can have my award. You can have it back. Matter of fact, I'm going to give him mine. I ain't using it. Just sit up there collecting dust. So Travis could have my Thorpe Award, because if this ain't the most idiotic thing in college football, that he's not a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, and he is, I would say arguably, but I don't think it's really an argument about this young man being the best defensive back in college football. I ain't saying nothing about the receiver part of it. I'm just talking about defensive back. He rarely gets thrown at. He's won a game for tackling for us, and he's always on point. So if you bring up the statistics, I don't know how in the world is Travis Hunter not a finalist for the Jim Thorpe Award. They just pretty much messed up all the integrity of the award, and he could have mine. Whoever is voting down there, who's ever bringing it home, thank you, because I don't even want mine now. God bless you.
All right, you guys heard that. Colorado's coming off a loss to Kansas, and that's a whole another conversation. They had a big opportunity for them. They fumbled it. I don't know if y'all heard Prime after the game. He pretty much essentially told them that, I fumbled it. You got to feeling yourselves, listening to the noise, yada yada, fumble, mess it up, threw it away. All that said, all right, man, we know Travis and the Heisman campaign and all that. How absurd is it to you guys that he's not a finalist for the defensive back award? Y'all heard all the things that he did end up being a finalist for. So take it or leave it that this was a snub or just a weird omission. Just your thoughts on this, Ray. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I'll take it that it's definitely a snub, because that's that's his thing. That's what he does. I don't understand how he gets left out of that conversation. Um, whoever is making those decisions, I don't know what goes into that. But yeah, he definitely should be in that group. I'm not sure there's a logical explanation as to why he's not. But hey, man, it is what it is at this point. Yeah, I can't make sense of it. But I mean, all the hooting and hollering isn't going to help. I get that you're upset and definitely take up for your guy, but like it's obvious that there's something wrong here. That I don't think the passionate speech is going to change anything, but yeah, that's definitely a snub in my opinion. I feel like he should definitely be mentioned among the finalists for that particular award.
Octavia.
So I don't claim to be the college whisperer. I'll be honest, I don't watch that much college football, to be fair. But even I know that this is kind of crazy, right? Yeah, I hate to say it kind of gives off the feeling that, well, Travis is going to win everything else. Let's let somebody else win. It's giving participation trophy awards for other people. And what also makes it worse is while he's being snubbed for this situation, the 3 finalists are also going to have to deal with this whole circus and media around the situation. Because now if any one of those 3 win, everybody's going to immediately like, well, I mean, you really shouldn't have won. Travis was really better. You just didn't get this one. So I feel bad for everybody involved in the situation. But like Ray said as well, hooping and hollering about it ain't gonna make it no better. And to be fair, I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong, but there are probably a lot of people out there that Dion rubs the wrong way. And sometimes people are collateral damage in situations that they shouldn't be. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but you're only going to make it harder for the young man, in my opinion. So it sucks. I mean, I understand voicing your disapproval of it, especially as his coach. You want to have his back. And then, of course, being a winner of the award yourself, understand the frustration. But it's unfortunate that there's nothing else that you can really do about it. But I wholeheartedly believe that it was a snub, and I think these are the times when the voters need to not be anonymous. I need names.
Yeah, it was really. What's funny is this comes on the heels of there was a guy the other day that's an AP voter for stuff at the end of the year. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he was referencing that another DB was better than Travis because the dude had more tackles, and a whole bunch of football players were like, "Dude, if your DB has a bunch of tackles, that's not a good thing. That's bad for your defense. You don't want your corners to have a bunch of tackles because that means people are getting beat, not just him, which is a whole nother discussion. But yeah, but like you guys said, obviously I get coming to your guys' defense or what have you, but I think this is one of those things that just it might have made even more noise just by letting everybody question it. But I feel bad for every other DB in that's an award finalist because you didn't choose to omit Travis. You didn't do that. Also, the weird thing is like y'all had 2 places where you had to have his name, right? The wide receiver award, the DB award. You could have left them off of any other one. You could have just left them off. Those are the 2 things. He plays 2 positions. This isn't hard, y'all. This really wasn't hard. He doesn't have to win a Heisman, anything. But to omit him is, like you guys said, it's a crazy snub when we got people just actively going through games, not messing with him at all. Like, actively. Like, just leaving him alone. And that defense is so bad. He's playing secondary. He doesn't play defense. He plays secondary. Like, Ain't no safe. I'm sorry, Shiloh, but look, man, it's bad back there. There's a whole lot of ground Travis responsible for. But anyways, like you guys said, got
Can I
something you
ask a
guys.
question?
Go ahead.
And ask the question as the person not being that well versed in college football, like I said, I'm not gonna lie. Do y'all think it has anything to do with the school that he plays at versus the other schools that these other three people play at?
I'm gonna let you go, Ray.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
I mean, nah. I mean, it's a Power 5 school, high profile program. They can't nobody say they don't see them. Like it's no logical explanation for this situation to be happening. Like none at all. And I mean, I don't care if he went to play for the SPLSU Mud Dogs. If you put in the work you putting in, you need to get recognized for it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, like we're legitimately talking about somebody who's capable of being worthy of a top 10 pick in two different freaking positions. What are we doing here, y'all? And all I've seen recently past couple weeks is like the serial killer running back from Boise State who's tough, Genty, who people love. But you got a lot of people that are like, well, Travis plays a lot of snaps. He plays two positions, but he's kind of mid at both of them. Like, no, that's not true. Genty is an amazing running back, but these are just different times. And another time, we'd be like, that's crazy that you're that good at both positions that people watching, like you got scouts like in arms fighting over like which one you should play at the next level. The fact that it's like it's an argument means you're that good at both spots. Not I'm a DB, but hey, I can catch the ball every once in a while. Like Trayvon Diggs is a DB with outstanding hands, but he's not. He's also not a great DB in the sense of coverage. Bless his heart. Just that's not Pat Surtain, y'all. You know, those are two totally different things. Travis is both of those things in one. Like it's different. So it's just crazy. It's absurd. People doing a whole lot of mental gymnastics. All I ask of you, I don't care who wins what. This is just dumb because you just didn't have to do this. Even if you didn't win the award. But to not have him as a finalist is crazy. Some of the other dudes on that list, man, everybody got losses that made that list. Like, what are we doing here? And some of them are safeties. But I'm going to let y'all cook, which means if there's safeties on the DB thing, that means they're winning a bunch of good corners. But again, all right, we got two for rapid fire, and we'll get out of this. You guys remember this when we talked about this way back when? Tyreek Hill getting pulled over on the way to the stadium. So, two traffic citations were issued that day. This was back in September. They've been dismissed when the responding officers failed to appear at a court hearing on Monday. Torres' behavior was captured on the officer's body cameras, and he was quickly placed on administrative duties. An internal affairs investigation was launched, but no results have been released. Attorneys Devin Jacob, Stephen Kelly, Jeffrey Neiman, and Julius Collins released a statement on Hill's behalf following the dismissal of his citations. As anticipated, the traffic citations against Tyreek Hill were dismissed. Police officers should not issue citations unless they are willing to testify in court under oath with respects to the same. They said in the statement, Officer Torres and Batista's absence from court today evidences their knowledge of wrongdoing. These officers should be disciplined for their failure to appear. Mr. Hill was entitled to have his day in court, and the officers failed to appear. The Miami-Dade police said the officers' failure to appear was an, quote, oversight, end quote, and that the matter will be handled administratively. Still, the department defended issuing Hill the tickets. A citation dismissed due to this reason does not indicate that the citation held no merit. The agency said in the statement. Octavia, your thoughts in that, right?
I mean, you just was talking about people were doing mental gymnastics. All of that just gave me mental gymnastics. Because what are we talking about? Because if you felt like the citations were warranted, your ass would have showed up in court. Like, let's be real. This happens a lot, unfortunately. I know a lot of people that have been pulled over for bogus things, and conveniently the cop doesn't show up. So to say it was an oversight is ridiculous because this was one of the biggest talked about things for however long it was. Just say you wanted to save face and you knew you was wrong, and I'm gonna just let that joint go and not go. Like, come on, like it's the back and forth for me that's annoying. Like it's ridiculous. I'm glad it's over for him. You know, you can put it behind you to a certain extent. And then, like you said, they said they did an internal investigation and there were no results that were given out for us to know when something so publicly happened, that we should also have a public understanding of what that is another reason why I'm like, they wasn't expecting, they didn't think, they probably didn't know who Tyreek Hill was when they did that. Then when they saw how it spiraled out of control and the way that they were acting, and again, I'm not going to not put any of the blame on Tyreek because he did not help the situation, of course. But again, I go back and always say it's not his job to help the situation. I know as Black people, we're supposed to. It's not his job to de-escalate the situation. That is what the police officers are trained to do. Although we know they don't always do it, and sometimes you have to do it in order to protect your life at the end of the day. Understandable, 100%. But they knew they was wrong. That's why they didn't show up to court. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, this is just a bunch of nonsense, man. And the whole, we investigated ourselves and determined that we didn't do anything wrong. Like, of course you don't. What do we expect you to say? But yeah, it just kind of sucks that there's no checks and balances in situations like this. But yeah, like Octavia said, at least he can just move on with his life at this point. It sucks that has to be the fallout from it, but I hate to say it is what it is, but unfortunately it is what it is. I don't think there's much more that could be done, but yeah, just the playing out face like this, like what do you mean an oversight? Like how does that happen? There should be some type of penalty for that, but yeah, it's just foolishness all around.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of whether I agree with what you do or not. Please do whatever it is with some conviction. I don't ask much. Like, if you're gonna come back and say, "Hey, I'm gonna hold the line," hold the line. If you're not gonna hold the line, don't hold the line. But tight roping on the line and going back and forth is just not for me. So we was wrong. However, we're not wrong because, according to this, and it's very much early 2000s NCAA football self-sanctioned. Like we looked at our program and we determined that a couple things were out of house, and we're gonna take care of that. But that's on us, guys, as they continue to pay people. Like, what are we doing? All right, last one. Octavia, yep, we're gonna talk about Saquon. You weren't expecting this, I got you. Saquon Barkley just ran for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns this past week against the Rams, as Octavia so kindly and eloquently shared with us earlier. He's up to 1,392 yards on the season with 10 touchdowns on 223 carries. He also has 27 catches for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right. Last year, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, for those of you that somehow don't know what that is, CMC had 272 carries for 1,459 yards, 14 touchdowns, 67 catches for 564 yards, and 7 touchdowns. While CMC won Offensive Player of the Year last year, he was not truly considered for the MVP. So my question to you guys, what the heck does a running back have to do to win the MVP award? Or are we just going to simply, as we were just talking about that fine police station in that situation, are we going to just really call the NFL MVP what it is as of late? Is it really just a quarterback award? Because those numbers I just shared with you, both of those men put up video game numbers in 2 different fashions. Yeah, they were just giving the quarterbacks. Not to say the quarterbacks didn't deserve it. I'm just saying, like, it was kind of glossed over. Like, last year, CMC going nuts. This year, you got Saquon and Derek going crazy. And again, go figure on a side note, as Octavia mentioned, it's kind of crazy when you put like, the league's like best players at a position, like in systems with other people where they can just play freely with their peers that are actually talented, not around nothing, and they all of a sudden go berserk, regardless of their age. How many of us remember Derrick Henry being washed until he got his first carry from Lamar Jackson, and it was like, this is not fair. How many people were like, Saquon's on the Giants. Oh my God, the Eagles offense is all Saquon. What did Jalen Hurts and the rest of them dudes do? Y'all been acting real brand new. Running backs still matter. There's value there. What happens is people get generational running backs and then put trash around them and be like, running backs have no value. That's it. What do they got to do, man? I'll tell you, I'll start with you and then Ray. Just what do running backs have to do? Because this doesn't make sense. These are two, and Saquon's not done, right, with this year. What do they have to do?
Like I said earlier, it seems like they got to break the record at this point. Like, I feel like the only way that Saquon will hands down, in my opinion, should hands down win the MVP is if he breaks Eric Dickerson's record. Because like you said, the MVP has become the quarterback award, and then the offensive player of the year just goes to whoever else. So it seems like that, because don't get me wrong, like we know Lamar Jackson's playing great to a certain extent at times. We know that Josh Allen, I think there was even people talking about Jared Goff in the MVP race. But like you said, if we actually break it down to what an MVP is, a most valuable player to their team in that season, not as a whole, as a franchise, like, because don't get me wrong, I know like Lamar is valuable to the Ravens, Josh is valuable to the Bills, but in this season, Saquon Barkley is that much valuable to the Philadelphia Eagles and how they're playing. I don't know what they have to do, to be honest. Like you said, the numbers that you gave about CMC last year, I think he won Offensive Player of the Year. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember. But it seems like just like, oh yeah, we'll just give him that one. When in all actuality, like you literally said that they're doing like video game numbers. Like Saquon literally had a video game move in a game that they added to the video game. He didn't mimic something that was happening in the video game. He did something and they added it to the video game that only he can do in the video game. Like, that's crazy. So I don't know what else he has to do. I do think that short of him breaking Eric Dickerson's record is going to be real tough. I do think that the game this week will possibly shed a little bit of light on both, because you got a Philadelphia Eagles team that's 9-2, who really could be 9-1, and then you have a Ravens team that's 8-4. I think records do matter eventually. But like you said, if they're just going to be always wanting to give it to the quarterback, there's really nothing that a running back can do. Even though, like you said, Derrick Henry, both of these teams played in SoFi back-to-back nights. Philadelphia Eagles played Sunday night. The Ravens played Monday night. After what Saquon did Sunday night, I know Derrick Henry had to go be talking to them like, hey, bruh, y'all see what they did? That's what we need to do. And to be honest, they kind of did that. They kind of go back and forth away from giving Derrick Henry the ball at a high clip. I think in the previous game, he had 13 carries and he wasn't on the field for one of the most important plays for the 2-point conversion when they played against the Steelers the previous week. Even if you were going to give the ball to Lamar, Derrick Henry should be out there, regardless of what you're going to do. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think he's the MVP. I'm biased, of course, when it comes to it. I think outside of breaking it, unless he does something else crazy, which, like you said, the year's not over. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to do more, because I do think the Eagles have finally bought into the fact that it runs through Saquon, and I think that they're all on board with it. That's what I really love about the situation, is that they're all on board with it. You know, like people are talking about like how many more touchdowns could Saquon have if they didn't do the tush push. Saquon don't give two F's about that. Don't care. He'd be the most excited one out there pushing Jalen from behind. Don't care. They came out and figured out that he has no touchdown incentives in his contract. That came out. He doesn't care. And then the rest of them don't care. Jalen doesn't care if he doesn't throw 35 times a game. AJ doesn't care. Like, it doesn't matter. So I'm hopeful, but like you said, it's a quarterback award, so I'm not too optimistic in that aspect. But I do think if he breaks the record, it should be a no-brainer.
Ray, your thoughts on someone other than a quarterback winning this award?
Before I answer, I just love that this is happening to the New York Giants. Like,
nobody's ever going to do a Hard Knocks off season ever again.
Like we shouldn't even be here. We shouldn't even be in this situation to be talking about this. But nevertheless, here we are. Yeah, I think it sucks, man. Like, you know, with guys to put up, you know, just get out and get results like that, and then kind of have to resign to the fact that they might not get recognized the way that they should be. You know, read a comment from Saquon the other day. It feels like he's already prepping for, you know, not getting it. He was like, you know, if I could have the year I'm having and get MVP and not win the Super Bowl, or I could have the year I'm having, you know, he said, if I could have the year I'm having and get MVP and not win the Super Bowl, if I could have the year I'm having and win the Super Bowl and not get MVP, of course I'm gonna pick the Super Bowl. So it sounds like he's prepping not to win it, which you know, which I'm sure in the back of his mind he's like, yeah, I would want that recognition because he's putting in the work. But I think you know, he's been around for a while now. He's kind of got his priorities lined up, and he's just focused on winning, which he should be, and which is probably why he's getting the results he's getting. But yeah, things need to broaden the scope as to who they're looking at for these awards, because it shouldn't be just whoever the best quarterback is every year, like, because in some of those situations, sometimes the guy the quarterback is throwing to has a lot to do with what's going on. And not to discredit any quarterback out there, but yeah, man, it's just call it most valuable quarterback if you're going to keep carrying it this way, because you know, because sometimes guys in other positions have a lot to say about the success of their teams. So yeah, but as far as this year, I definitely think at this point Saquon is the front runner in my eyes. Should he keep this up, it should be his hands down. But yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't go on FanDuel and place a Saquon for MVP bet, but yeah, it just needs to yeah, something's got to give, man, because you can't have dudes coming out and having years like this and just not even being the second thought in that conversation. It's just quarterback. Like, that's just doesn't make sense. You got to start rewarding guys for putting in work.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to piggyback real quick because you said that Saquon was preparing himself not to get it. He's like, bruh, they paid Daniel Jones over me. These other quarterbacks is way better than them, so way better than him. So if they paid him over me, you know they ain't worried about me getting no MVP. They looking at everybody else. So that's why he's prepared. He's already been through this to a certain degree, and probably even worse because it was money involved.
I mean, the other things you got to see how much it didn't matter last year. CMC went nuts last year. Yeah. Totally changed that team by himself. Like they were broken this year because he was hurt for 9 weeks. Yep. He's an offensive player of the year, and I know everybody has all these conspiracy theories. No, the team who had one of the best offenses in the league was missing the offensive player. I know this sounds crazy, of the year. The quarterback was still healthy, but the offensive player of the year ain't show up to like week 10.
I think I saw a stat that said like there were 3 running backs that left their teams: Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and the teams that they went to have like a 24-9 record versus the teams that they left are like the opposite. I can't remember the exact thing. Like it shows you like, yeah, you might not value every single running back, but there are certain running backs that you should value.
It's just not that hard. Like, yeah, they're not all equal, but the ones that are a little different, you shouldn't treat them like the other ones. Like the Ravens have had other running backs, right? Cool. None of them affect the defense. Nothing's hit. Like looking across the line at number 8 and going, good Lord, do we have to go? Like, Lamar, please keep the ball. When has someone ever said that? Like, hey, Houdini, please keep it. I do not. Under any circumstance, bro, it's the third quarter. I'm sick of tackling this refrigerator on wheels. I don't have that in me. Please stop it. You got Saquon over there who is playing by himself. Well, just whatever. Dude was over there with a whole running quarterback and nothing, making people miss. And you go to a team like the Eagles where what they were missing was a superstar offensive player. And that's not a knock to anybody there. There's levels to things. Same thing with San Fran. There's levels to things. Bless everybody heart there. George is a special dude. CMC is alien different. Dude at the bottom, dude in the screen right now, alien different. Derrick Henry, that's a whole different breed of alien. I don't know what it is unclassified. That is just ridiculous. Those type of dudes change things. Like you said, why think about like it mitigates so much risk. Oh yeah, we could call a pass player, or I'm gonna give it to the refrigerator again. Hey man, I know you used to drag really bad teams for 35 carries a game. What if we take 10 of the carries off your plate? What can you do with these 15? Surrounded by good people. They're gonna go crazy. You got Saquon up here like, nah, I'm fresh. I did much worse. Hold on. I'm getting 5 yards before I get touched. Oh, now we good. And, like dudes out here saving people's job. Before Nick Sirianni does something stupid, Saquon 75 yards to the crib. Before you call this stupid play that's gonna mess this game up like you've been doing, here goes Saquon. Look, I'm just gonna house this real quick. I don't want Nicky to do something wild. Oh man, here we go. 2 dumb pass plays, 75 yards again. That's how they've avoided stuff. Because the Eagles real run the ball, throw it 80 yards deep. Ain't no in between. Saquon was like, I take care of all the in between. We good here. Before y'all do something crazy, I got it. Like every time the Eagles get the triple, what happens? Give Saquon 3 carries and everything's gonna be okay. Take your medicine now, okay? Give running backs that credit, man. This isn't too hard. And I know what's gonna happen. We're gonna go into this draft class again and watch these running backs get overlooked for no reason. And somebody talented is going, like, you know what's gonna happen? Genty's gonna end up on the Kansas City Chiefs, and I blame everybody.
That kid is
all y'all.
Like I said, I don't watch college football, but I know who that is.
Look, this is all y'all's fault.
Don't do that.
Genty's gonna end up on their team or on my team or on the Rams.
I need him somewhere that sucks.
No,
he's not in the NFC East.
Mm-mm.
Let the Ravens
or he might be in y'all's division. And Ray on the Giants thing, my last 2 cents on that because it's hilarious and funny. They fumbled the thing with Saquon, right? DJ gets to choose this week. So which reclamation spot is he choosing? The San Francisco, we got Darnold paid, or the Los Angeles, I can sit behind Matt Stafford and play for free because the Giants are paying me, so it doesn't matter.
I am interested to figure out where he's going to decide to go.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I could go sit in that system. They're going to tell me what, because I'm looking at Sam Bradford like, I could do his job. I'm Daniel Jones. I'm like, seriously? Y'all fix Sam? Come on.
You say y'all fix Sam?
He can't even run.
Fix me.
Man, at least if I get confused, I can just take off. Sam can't even take off. But all right, man, we appreciate y'all this week. Y'all have a great week, and we'll check in with y'all next time on the Focus TV.